Now do you see, anime-only watchers, about the wonders of Avatar? Yes, they are indeed a fucking joke. Cause one shot, one shot, one shot. Yep, that's Natsu for you. Just, loves those one shots. And the fact of the matter is that they're just jokes in general. Now you can see why people really don't like the Avatar. And don't worry, it only just gets better because I swear, each and every one of these guys are an absolute joke. And then when you think, oh, they actually brought out something serious, it's like, no, it's still horrible. It's still like supposed to be a serious, right? That's the problem. I feel like a lot with Avatar. And again, like, I'm coming out to this episode really very late. Like, this episode's been out for a couple of days now, and it's like, I had to think as well for a while. Like, obviously that's not. I just generally like fucking forgot that the episode came out because again, it's the Avatar stuff, and I'm not stoked for it. When I thought about it afterwards when I watched the episode, I was like, why is it the most and all that? And I thought about like it's not just that general that they're bad villains and all that. It's like more. It's just like what else do I just do not like about them? But it's like the fact that the matter is that even the story themselves try to consider them like a threat. Again, they're not part of like the Balam Alliance at all. Like, which was something as well. I always like. I think originally back in the day, I was like, wait, were they part of the Balam Alliance, or were they like now about to be starting up a new part of it? Because again, you think of Ration Sais, you think of Grimoire Ha, you think of Tartarus. You think of those three, like, those are the Balam Alliance. They are, the Dark Guilds that you think of. Like, regardless of, I believe in Raventail is considered as one, but then again, they were, like, just, like, that was another disappointing plotline as well that just went out the fucking window as well. Like, you think about this and it's like, these guys are nothing else but hardcore Zereth tards, where they're just Zereth fanboys, and they're like, oh, we just want to get Zereth's attention because he's really cool. And I'm like, that's all. Like, one of the fucking guys who's into torture apparently cosplays himself as Zereth, or at least thinks he is, with his big fucking shiny chrome dome and his eyebrows. Like, yeah, that's what you're dealing with here. And the fact is, like, even talk about this episode where it's like, again, like, honestly, I think how the animators and that handled the episode was fine. They're just rushing through it to get it over and done with, and there's a few little jokes, but it's like, this is what we're dealing with. And then the fact of the matter is that the whole grey stuff as well, where it's like, alright, let's just talk about the episode itself. We go straight into the episode. Lucy's like, we need a guy to get in there, do the smart thing, go underground, try and actually get some information. Alright, I'm going to summon Virgo. You get to see that she has a star dress form, which you find out as well Virgo is tying herself up because she's like, oh, I want punishment. And, honestly, overall, I think it's nice to have Virgo, like, back and all that. Like, a lot of the celestial spirits don't get a lot of screen time, I should say. Like, I know, like, they had, like, some filler arcs and stuff dedicated to them, but it's like, I generally, like, out of all of them, like, I like Virgo. I think she's a very weird, kooky character and all that, and obviously Aquarius was the one that got the most screen time out of all of them. And then, the more you think about, like, some of the stuff that they have, on there, it's like, I like the Celestial Spirits. They're all kind of, like, a bunch of weirdos for the most part. One thing to say, at least, and all that, is like, when they go into there, it's like, alright, we're in this really creepy torture room prison. Natsu just goes, Gray! And he just screamed out his name. I'm like, where you go to alert everyone in the fucking Dark Guild about their presence. Yeah, that was a thing. Then the little panda dude comes down, he's like, oh, what's this? Which you find out that he's like, oh, he's got that little doll thing from, like, what, like, Lucy and Natsu went against back in Grimoire Ha, and you're like, oh, that's a thing, like, on there. I was like, that's something. I honestly, like, thinking about, like, the guy, and I was like, I completely forget the name of the dude at all. Like, it's a shame, because, like, I remember Azuma, I remember Meredy, Altair, also we had Blue Note recently, like, we had, Zancro, like, Rusty Rhodes, Altair, like, you think of all of them, and it's like, oh yeah, he was the one guy that was, like, completely forgettable. I mean, you had Capricorn, and you think about the guy that possessed him, but honestly, he's fucking irrelevant, but it's like, you have those guys, and it's like, oh yeah, it's that dude, and apparently he just gave it away, so at least that dude is alive somewhere, and he's hanging out, but, we never see him again. I can confirm that. It's like, you never see him again in Fairy Tail, so, yeah, well, he gave them the doll and he's like, I'm out of there. So he's got his magic. And it's like, oh, he was a kind of a weirdo character that had some decent power. He just used it wrong. Maybe this guy can do it. Like, right. Immediately, Natsu, one shot. Then the fucking cosplaying, like, weirdo old Chrome Dome comes down. One shot. Then the one actually decent, cool-looking dude, I was like, you look like a weird amalgamation of shit. You're like, you look like part robot and demon. What's your whole deal? One shot. Alright then. The weird, kooky, like... I know we're watching anime here, but it's like the one that's like, oh, you scream even harder anime. It's like, you belong in a different series. You belong in a kooky fucking, like, slice of life or something. It's like... I was like, oh, like Mary, I think her name was, where she was just like, I cause stomach aches. That's a power. Sure. Apparently that's what Dark Guild is like, oh no, I have a stomach ache. Yeah, you're evil. You clearly work in that line of work. Sign her the fuck up, like, on there, like, the torture guy, alright. It's like, you know, I literally, my magic was invented to hurt people. I wonder if he's going to use that for the power of good later on in his life, but no. That's what you get, and then immediately he's like, Natsu and Gray have, like, you know, their little feud at some point, and he's like, shows, like, he's like, oh, I've, you know, completely cut my, like, you know, heart out to, like, all the things of Fairy Tail, like, I am truly, you know, I've cut, like, it's gone, just accept it, Natsu, it's gone, all of that stuff out of here and all that, I have my own agenda now, and he's like, I'm truly part of, like, you know, Avatar. Shows as well, like, his little mark that he has on him, is like, I've even gotten rid of my own, like, Fairy Tail mark, like, in the, all this stuff from this point, and, you know, Mary gets involved, the blonde guy gets involved, where it's like, oh, by the way, like, he's putting his sword towards Lucy's neck, and he's like, yeah, stand down, Natsu, or I will kill her. Pretty much, like, you see the creepy fucking torture dude just, like, starts wrapping Natsu up in the seal stone that is like, oh, it just seals your magical powers on there, and sure, why not, like... Then it kind of cuts back to Gargiel, which I was like, oh, that's a thing there. I was like, yeah, hey Gargiel, hey Panther, I say it with the stinger for last week. Where I was like, oh, you know, what's going on there? You see Levy's there as well, like, since they're all joined, they're like they're all part of the Magic Council, finding out that they're here to stop this purification plan, which we find out from the old man as well, that they talk about to Natsu, because of course they do, because, you know, the main characters need to get a plot done with what's happening right now, but yeah, it's still stupid for the most part. You then find out, like, from there, is like, they plan to sacrifice innocent people's lives, like hundreds of people's innocent lives, just so they can get Zeref's attention. That's all. They just think this is what the will of Zeref would do, and it's like, no, maybe if we do this, he might answer our phone calls. Maybe, you know, we've left him about 60 text messages, but he hasn't replied at all. Like, maybe, like, yeah. These are fucking hardcore Zeref fanboys. Tards. Like, in the Fairy Tail world, I was like, they're jokes. They're just absolutely jokes, and there's a whole arc dedicated to them, and it's like, why? Like, they are nothing. They are absolutely nothing. And again, this is considered the worst arc in Fairy Tail. I know I even heard people at the, some were saying that, no, they think, Grimoire Heart is, and I'm like, no, even, some people even argue as well with, like, the Grand Magic games, but here's the thing, every single, like, even Tyrus as well, like, every single arc that you could figure, even if, like, you just never liked Fairy Tail from the very beginning, which, then again, why are you watching 280 episodes worth of, like, stuff you don't like? Then again, that's people, and I can't really judge them for that and all that, but whatever. This, as someone that considers himself a fan of the series, it's like, there is nothing here. Even for, like, the hardcore of the Fairy Tail fans, there is nothing that you can get from this arc that no other arc has given you, but, like all the other arcs have, like, given you. You think of this arc, and it's like, there is not one positive thing I could say that came out of this arc, and it is a shame. Like, because, spoilers, like, again, you see it at the very first part of the episode. The entire guild is back. Like, you get to see Natsu, like, you know, Lucy Gargiel, like, Gray, like, Urza. You see them all back. And it's like, the only thing that this arc establishes is the gathering back of Fairy Tail. That is it. Because you find at the end of this episode that Gray has actually been undercover all along. That he's actually been doing it. Somehow phones exist. Shut up, that's a thing. throws it towards Natsu, and then turns out it's like, oh, Urza's been leading this sting operation all along for like Gray to infiltrate this Dark Guild. So yeah, that's something that they've been doing for a while, and it's like, well, this is gonna take a while. We need to take care of this, and it's like, and literally like the one thing I liked was like, yeah, sorry, you know, Code Blue, something's been arise, and it's like, oh, did you get caught? No. And then you could, even without Urza saying it, it's like, you can hear from Gray's side, it's like, yeah, it's that. Like, it's like, oh, so she was like expecting, it's like, oh, please don't tell me Natsu got involved in some way, and it's like, yeah, he did, because it's Natsu on there, and it's like, again, like, it ends that way. It's like, oh, hey, we've got, now that we're finally back, we've got the main, pretty much the main cast, because, I mean, even the opening considers your main cast is Natsu, Wendy, Gray, Lucy, Juvia, Gargiel, like, you know, that, they consider that the main cast, for the most part, so it's like, yeah, that's pretty much the majority of the main cast that you get. Even still, like, I always, like, they always think of, like, the 5 now, because even, like, still, if you don't count, like, you know, like, Juvia and, like, Gargiel as well, and then only, like, separated from, I don't even count from, like, 100 quests. The main group is Natsu, Wendy, Lucy, Urza, Gray, you know, you think of, like, all of those characters, like, especially, because it's, you know, a pretty big cast, I think, for the most part, that you have. Like, most of the time, it's only, like, you have the 4 characters, or the trio, or anything, but Fairy Tail has a lot more of the majority of the cast, and a lot of them do get a lot more screen time than some other series do on there, but it's like, yeah, it's a shame, because it's literally the ending of this arc is the only thing that's, like, really significant, because there's no character growth, there's no, like, nothing serious really happens apart from them beating the shit out of just some Zera fanboys. That's it. Like, so that's why I consider this to be the worst arc, because it is not needed. You could literally skip this in the like, if it wasn't for the final part, it's like, you could just skip this arc. This is, without a doubt, filler in the manga. It's filler, it's canon filler, and that is a shame on there. Like, it generally feels like, let's write something up in a way where it's like, who knows, like, maybe this is like, because again, you always hear multiple things with, like, their editors and their stories, and again, I do blame Mashima for a lot of this as well. I still do blame the main guy, but it's like, you've heard shit where it's like, editors have quite a lot of control of, like, how some stories can go, and it's like, maybe do this, and it's like, oh, why don't we want these characters back? Let's try and do this interesting plot point. No, never mind, goes down the hill, let's just have the characters back. Again, you know, I still will say without a doubt that I blame him for that. I also do know as well with some of the editor interviews as well, how some directions have been changed due to the editors he's had. So again, we heard nothing about this arc ever, because why would you ever? So again, I still say that this is the fault with him. I think that and it's still a lot of the missteps as well for the final arc is his fault, and also as well the steppings of, like, he was burnt out, which was, you know, been a statement for a lot, like, what we've been hearing is that he was just tired of Fairy Tail and just wanted to end it and do something new, because he's been doing it for, like, what, 10 years. So again, like, this is just, without a doubt, it's like, again, I don't think the anime's, like, bad. I think this did it better in the anime than it did in the manga, because, again, like, they're rushing through it, and they're getting through the chapters, and there's some nice cinematography here. There's a lot of still shots here and there, nothing too anime crazy, like, for the most part, for, like, the early episodes. Still, he's just trying to save it for, like, the highlighting moments, because, again, the first episode had the most, I'd say, to it, like, and again, the second episode had that really good shot between, like, you know, what you got to see of, like, Wendy and, like, Charlotte and Shedia, like, all going, like, crazy, like, so, again, I'd like to say they're just saving it and just trying to get through this stuff as much as possible, but who knows, at this point, like, again, like, I'm still someone where it's like, you know, wow, Panda, you're coming out as an ungrateful shit when you, like, really wanted Fairy Tail back. And it's like, I did want Fairy Tail back, and I'm glad it's back, and I'm glad people are getting the anime and they do. And I did want to, you know, I do want to see the final arc animated. And, of course, I'm watching and supporting it at the same time. It's just, let Avatar be an example of, like, fan biasm. Like, it was like, don't let your, like, fandom for a series, or don't let, you know, your love for a series blind you into when you see the bad stuff. When there is a bad moment, or a character is, you know, acting out of character, or, like, there is just general writing critiques you have to say about a series, then point them out. But when there is stuff that it does deserve merit, which I do give this series because I think it does do some things like actually very well, like to answer other series, like it gets its own due then. Just right now it's like, this is what you were kind of excited for. And again, I think Fairy Tail stopped at the wrong point where it's like, it ran out of chapters, which is understandable, but it's like, imagine if they ended it off on the Avatar arc, and then it'd be like, oh, you have to look forward to the last arc. There you go. That's what you get left. And it's like, at least then you would have some ups and downs. But with this, it's just like, So, again, I've rambled more enough. Like, I wasn't expecting to rant on this long about the episode, because, again, I was like, a lot of it just wasn't anything really to mention on about the episode itself, because it's like, yeah, this happened, it literally can go down. Yeah, they went into the Dark Guild. Oh, they shot the Grey. Oh, they kind of got into trouble. He one-shot some people. Then, you know, they got caught. And then it finds out Grey's not a spy. You know, he's not evil, he's just a spy, and that Urza was in it all along, so, hey, you get most of your main cast back. So, there we go. So, they're getting for it pretty quickly. That's the plus sign, so... Let me know, guys, in the comment section down below what you thought about the episode, and also as well about my rambling of this episode. But that's all from me, and I'll see you guys, though, next time.